In recent years, public conversations about hell have resurfaced, not only among theologians, but in popular Christian discourse. When a well-known actor and evangelist suggested that the final fate of the unrepentant may not be eternal torment, but death itself, reactions were swift and polarized. But long before modern debates, the Christian tradition had already wrestled deeply with the meaning of judgment, fire, and destruction. To understand how the hell has been envisioned in Oriental Orthodox Christianity, we must step away from modern assumptions, and return to the theological imagination of the early Church. For the early Church, theology did not begin in the courtroom, but in creation. Saint Athanasius of Alexandria, writing in the 4th century, described humanity as created for life, not merely biological existence, but participation in God Himself. In On the Incarnation, Athanasius explains that when humanity turned away from God, it did not simply become guilty, it began to disintegrate. Sin, for Athanasius, is ontological. It moves the human person toward corruption, decay, and ultimately death. Only God possesses immortality by nature. Human beings live only insofar as they participate in Him. Left to itself, the soul does not endure forever, it returns to corruption. From this foundation, the question of hell must be asked not as how does God punish, but rather, what happens when life itself is rejected? Centuries later, Saint Severus of Antioch would insist on a crucial theological principle. God does not change. Divine judgment, Severus argued, is not God becoming wrathful or cruel. It is humanity encountering divine truth without healing. God's presence is always life-giving in itself. But it is not experienced the same way by everyone. To those who love God, the divine presence is light, joy, and rest. To those who reject Him, that same presence becomes exposure, anguish, and shame. Hell, in this vision, is not a place where God inflicts pain. It is the tragic state of a soul unable to endure the reality of God's holiness. The fire does not change. What changes is the human heart. No church father explored the mystery of fire more poetically than Saint Ephrem the Syrian. Ephrem spoke often of flames, but never simplistically. For him, divine fire is not a torture device. It is a symbol of God's presence, radiant, purifying, and overwhelming. The same fire that illuminates the righteous consumes what cannot endure it. In Ephrem's hymns, hell is marked not by endless agony, but by loss, the loss of communion, the loss of light, the loss of life itself. Those who reject God are not kept alive forever in suffering. They are undone by the very reality they refuse to love. Fire, for Ephrem, reveals truth. And truth, when resisted, destroys illusion, and ultimately, the self built upon it. Scripture describes hell using a consistent vocabulary. Death, destruction, perishing, the second death. Oriental Orthodox theology takes this language seriously. Hell is real. Judgment is final. The second death is worse than the first. But the tradition resists defining hell as eternal conscious torment imposed from outside. Instead, it speaks of corruption reaching its completion, existence cut off from the source of life. Whether this results in endless misery or eventual dissolution is not defined dogmatically. What is clear is this: Apart from God, there is no life. The fathers of the Oriental Orthodox Church refuse to imagine God as a cosmic torturer. Justice, for them, is not cruelty, it is truth. God does not will suffering. But he does not violate human freedom. Hell is not God abandoning humanity. It is humanity refusing communion with God, to the very end. And that refusal, tragically, has consequences. In Oriental Orthodox Christianity, hell is not explained away, but neither is it sensationalized. It is the final outcome of rejecting life itself. A reality shaped by freedom. A judgment rooted in truth. A tragedy, not a spectacle. In returning to the vision of the early church, we are reminded that the most serious question is not how God punishes, but whether we are willing to live. If you found this exploration helpful, I invite you to continue the conversation. You're welcome to share your thoughts in the comments, especially if you come from a different Christian tradition. If you'd like to see more content like this, thoughtful, historically grounded explorations of theology, please consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. It helps make this work visible to others who are searching for deeper answers. Thank you for watching. And may the pursuit of truth always lead us closer to life.